Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and we are back in studio for now, folks. A little bit later on, we'll be at Texas, Arizona. You're not going to want to miss that segment. But we want to thank you for joining us for your one-stop shop for sports picks, politics and government chatter, and even some neighborhood restaurant reviews. Instead of going to 3 different channels, you can come here every week for the Pulse on everything you need to know. And we are so happy to begin with our Places segment this week and have a new debut here on the Pulse. And we're joined by Daria DeLucci of Insta handle at Hoboken Eats. Daria, what's going on?
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my God, I can tell you're excited. You're getting me excited for this segment, and it's very, very tough to do that because I'm just a ball of energy. Greg can tell you that, our producer. Anyway, Daria today is going to be talking about Otta Strata, located at 743 Park Avenue here in the lovely city of Hoboken. So, for all you non-Italian speakers out there, Otta Strata actually simply means 8th Street here, like I mentioned, in Hoboken. So, Daria, the restaurant is located in a very, very residential neighborhood.
Yes.
And you can almost miss it if you drive by it, correct?
Yeah, it's pretty hidden right in the corner.
It's
yeah.
unbelievable. And, you know, so how did you come about to find the restaurants when the first time you went in there?
Googling so many Italian restaurants. I passed it probably 5 times and didn't even know that the restaurant existed. Once you get in there, though, it's this small, quaint little area, little restaurant that just has the most, like homey neighborhood feeling, and it really goes along with the neighborhood feel.
That's awesome. And it's so funny you mentioned homey and neighborly and all of that, because I like to look at their website, also by Google. Who's not sponsoring the show. We'll make phone calls on Monday. I like to look at their website, and they really, and how they describe themselves, they basically were like, our chefs are bringing the same foods they watch their nonnas, which again, we're teaching you a little bit of Italian today, guys. That means grandma in Italian, make at home into Otta Strata's kitchen. Now, let me tell you something. To me, when you're throwing grandmas in there, to me, that sounds as authentic as it comes.
They mean
correct?
business. They mean business there.
They really, really do. So why don't we get to the food menu now?
Yes.
Because we could talk about the ambience all we want, but it's all about the food
all
at these
about
type
the
of
food.
places. So I looked at their menu. They have these special antipastis, which consist of cheese platters, olives, and salads, some pizza. They have these prima piattis, which is these first plates, which have, you know, these mostly pasta dishes. And then you have their secondi piatti, which is their second dishes, which of course consist of their meat and fish. What do you like? Just tell me. Start with the antipastis. Go ahead.
The first thing you have to get when you go there is the 1-pound meatball.
1 pound.
1 pound. It's huge. It's like this big. They have a little ricotta on top, some sauce. It is phenomenal. I recommend it to everybody that goes there. You have to get it. And it's not in the antipasto section. You got to go down to the secondi. Oh. Yeah. And it's,
but you can get it
as an appetizer. You have to. You have to. The crushed burrata is absolutely phenomenal there. Any of the crostinis, you can get it with ricotta. You can get it with basically anything. Absolutely top notch every time.
And let me ask you a question. You're really not going to find Italian-American dishes there, like chicken parmesan.
No,
because I looked at their, or Caesar salad for that matter.
And
correct?
you know what they do there though? They have one of their dishes, which is my absolute favorite pasta dish. It's probably top 2, like anywhere. Instead of making just regular pesto sauce, they make roasted red pepper pesto sauce.
What?
Phenomenal.
It's got to be homemade.
Yeah, and you don't find it anywhere else. I've never seen that on any menu before.
That's incredible.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
And the menu is very concise though. Like
Yeah.
I feel like they might have only had like 6 or 7 type of prima piattis or pasta dishes. They might have only had a few or maybe 5 or 6 meat dishes. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that old saying, like do something and do it right.
Yep, they have their specific pastas, their specific meats, their pizzas. The pizza menu is a little bit bigger, but for the pastas and the meats, this is what you're going to get, and it's things you're not going to find anywhere else.
Okay.
That's what I love about it.
And it's BYOB?
Yes.
Which is even better.
Yes.
Right?
Perfect date night spot.
Perfect date night spot, folks. But
yep.
she is taken, all right? So be careful out there. So now, one thing I did notice too also in our menus is they have a brunch menu, because we'll get to their hours a little later on, but I know Saturday and Sunday they do offer brunch. And I felt like a lot of their dishes included eggs in them.
Yes.
So do they really take the dishes that they have on their regular menu and just add eggs?
That's
or
what
is
it seems like.
Right?
That's what it seems
have
like.
Have you been there for brunch?
I have been there for brunch, and one of my favorites is the brunch pizza.
Tell me.
Pizza.
Talk to me. What's
it's got
that?
eggs on top. You can get the meat on top, cheeses. It's basically everything you would want on a breakfast plate. Put it on a pizza.
And put it on a pizza.
And call it a day.
Folks. And call it a day. Call it a day. So now, also, I noticed that on their menu and on their website, they said that they deliver pizza only. Is that correct? Do they only deliver their pizza and not any other entree?
Yeah, their pizza is pretty big. They have quite a selection of different pizzas. So you can probably seamless, I think, some of the pastas, but their pizza is one of their specialties is. Yeah.
And you know, we spoke about this before. I'm with other food reviewers on the show. You know, pizza's an interesting food whenever you put it in a box.
Yeah.
They say would you agree with this? As soon as you put it in a box, it really doesn't taste the same in a way, correct?
Yeah. You want to rate it as it comes out the oven.
Right out of the oven,
Right out of the oven, yep.
Correct. So would you say, now there's so many pizzerias in Hoboken, so many pizzerias. I mean, my goodness. I mean, we have Napoli's, Grimaldi's.
Yeah.
I mean, you name
the list goes on.
I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But a lot of these restaurants now are introducing, heck, a lot of these bars are introducing pizzas as well. You know, would you say that Autostrada's pizza really compares to the premier pizza spots here in Hoboken?
I think they're definitely contenders. I think that they're right up there. I think what makes them really stand out is the versatility with their pizzas, is that they're making different pizzas that you're not going to find. And I'm not, you know, I love Napoli's and all those places, but it's a little different. They're adding something different that these other pizzerias can't.
That's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah.
Why don't we discuss their hours? They're closed Mondays, so for all you people who want to go there on a Monday, too bad. Tuesday to Thursday, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Friday, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday and Sunday brunch are from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Dinner on Saturdays, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And on Sunday, it's 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So they're all over the place, folks. Go on the website or keep watching the show, get our hits up on YouTube, and you can hear the hours. So, Daria, when is really a good time to go into the restaurants?
During the week. When you go on a weekend, you can't make reservations there unless you're a bigger party. Yeah, so when you go for this date or you go with like a bunch of your girlfriends, guy friends, whatever the case is, you're going to be waiting a little bit.
So you are going to be, and would you say like a 30, 45-minute wait? Let's say I'm walking in there with a date on a Saturday afternoon, you know, for brunch.
So I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to do. This is what's going to happen on a Friday or a Saturday night. You're going to walk in there and it's going to be an hour wait. But what you're going to do is you're going to walk down the street. There's a little bar. You go in there.
You can name the bar. Is it the Turtle Club? What is it?
No,
Finnegan's. Yes, it is.
Yes,
Finnegan's.
yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes. Turtle Club's actually closed.
Yes.
Yes.
Now Saku.
Saku. That's correct. You see? The one-stop shop is right here, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need anything else.
So you can go right around the corner to Finnegan's. You have a drink there, and they'll call you when your table's ready. You walk right back down the street, and you're good to go.
Fantastic. Yep. Absolutely fantastic.
And your date will be really impressed if you take her around the corner. You
right?
know all the spots.
You're pre-gaming it, basically. I still speak the lingo here. Anyway, so, you know, one thing that Hoboken lacks, in my opinion, and everybody knows how biased I am when it comes to Italian delis. But one thing that Hoboken lacks, in my opinion, is good Italian restaurants. And I just feel like there's not enough of them. And I think Autostrada really has created a place that kind of fills that void in Hoboken, correct? Do you feel that any restaurants are similar to Autostrada? Maybe Augustino's for that matter, or anything in the area? It could even be anywhere in Hudson County. Do you have any other opinion, any other restaurants?
The two that I go back and forth between when I'm trying to get a really good, authentic Italian dinner is Cafe Michelina. To me,
Fourth and Bloomfield,
Yep. To me, that also gives, there's no frills. It's probably looked the same for years, and you just go in, you know you're going to get a good meal, and it's like mom and pop run. I think the whole family works there, and you're going to go in and you know you're going to get a good meal. The food is just as good each time you go.
Fantastic. Well, Daria De Lucci, everybody. You know, why not start her out with an Italian review? Folks, when we come back, her Insta handle is at Hoboken Eats. Visit it. You'll see all the wonderful food dishes on there. When we come back, folks, we have Mr. Josh Sotomayor Einstein in our Politics with Peter B segment. You're not going to want to miss it. We will be right back. Peter Biancamano from the Pulse with Peter B. We just want to remind you that on Monday, April the 15th, we have the great debate at Willie McBride's on 6th and Grand Street, 7 p.m. You're not going to want to miss it, as our political analyst, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, is going to be debating a longtime Hoboken resident in Dr. Anthony Petrosino. That is Monday, April 15th, 7 p.m., Willie McBride's, 6th and Grand Street. Be there. Welcome back to the Pulse of Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and this is our Politics with Peter B segment, joined, like we are every week, by our political analyst, Josh Sotomayor Einstein. Josh, what's going on today?
Always good to be here, brother.
Oh, the handshaking off, folks. And folks, before we jump into our topic, I do want to make a little bit of an announcement. On Monday, April 15th, our own political analyst Josh Sotomayor Einstein will be debating Dr. Anthony Petrosino here in Hoboken, and we're calling it The Great Debates over at Willie McBride's at 7 p.m., and you are invited. So make sure you come on by. They're going to be talking about national issues, which we don't do on this show, thank God. And like I said, Monday, April 15th, 7 p.m., Willie McBride's, 6th and Clinton, I believe, correct?
Yes.
6th and Clinton Street here in Hoboken. So why don't we jump right into what we want to discuss today. Josh, there was a hot issue which probably led to one of the most fiery city council meetings that I can remember a couple weeks ago, and that's dynamic parking here in Hoboken. So the majority of meters placed in residential areas west of Washington Street increased to 50 cents for every 15 minutes of parking, while the majority of meters along Washington Street from Observer Highway to 7th Street near the train station and on the waterfront cost more than 90 cents for every 15 minutes. Before the dynamic parking was introduced, meters everywhere were 25 cents for 15 minutes. So residents and business owners were very, very angry.
So just to clarify for viewers, dynamic parking is a concept similar to congestion pricing. For example, sometimes there are some tolls that are more expensive at certain times of the day based on the perceived amount of traffic. And that was the idea, great in theory, horrible in practice, behind dynamic pricing.
So during the council meeting, while these initiatives were taking place, 3 residents showed up with signed petitions of over 1,000 signatures, basically asking the council to reconsider the parking hike, among other things. The Bala administration then really had a backpedal. Do you think they needed to do that?
I think that it was definitely not a sign that they had fully thought out the program that they were implementing. And I think the reality is most of the city understood it as a backdoor tax. Legally it's not a tax, but the effect is that it's taxing our residents, it's taxing their friends and family, and it's taxing the businesses because the damage that it does to people that might want to come here from out of town. But when it comes to parking, City Hall, whoever has been in it for however many years, has no idea what to do. And they just take things and they throw it against the wall to see what will stick.
It sticks, right. And we spoke about parking before. Going back to that council meeting, though, because something interesting happened. Third Ward Councilman Russo, who's also head of the parking committee for the city council, he sponsored an introductory ordinance which would have repealed the ordinance for dynamic parking and also would have exempted residents from paying for parking up to 4 hours along Washington Street from 4th Street to Newark Avenue. But the other council members thought it would hurt businesses if the city provided free parking and basically voted it down. What's wrong with 4 hours of free parking?
So I think the motivation, I don't live in Councilman Russo's head, but I think the motivation there is no one wants to be left holding the bag when the crap hits the fan, so to speak. And I think that effort was meant to ameliorate the concerns of voters, particularly in his ward, who might be very annoyed at this. I don't think he should have had to hold the bag, so to speak, for everyone else's mistakes. But at the end of the day, doubling down on the error of meddling with parking is just another error. What the city needs to do, it needs to stop interfering as much as humanly possible. And stop adding to the natural scarcity by adding artificial scarcity to the parking problem in Hoboken. There's never going to be enough parking spots. There's never going to be enough to satisfy business owners because naturally business owners want more parking so that they have more customers, which makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that. But this idea that City Hall can solve the parking problem, it's just as realistic as children that believe in unicorns and the Tooth Fairy.
Well, that's too funny. So then there was, going back to the city council, because it was very, very fiery about this one issue. There was bickering going on from city council members about who's carrying what political water for the administration. But you have to admit, Josh, politics is being played on both sides of this issue, correct?
Yes, but this is also the natural outcome of when politicians, instead of focusing on things that they actually can do, focus on the things that their ideal want. regardless of whether or not they actually have the ability to make a positive change in an area. And it's been proven time and time again that they do not have the ability to make a positive change in parking. So naturally, they're going to keep on doubling down and trying to over and over again. I mean, Albert Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And by meddling in parking repeatedly, it seems that our city council, everybody, is Einstein's definition of insane.
Interesting. And any relation?
No.
Okay. So meanwhile, the residents, are still hurt by these political moves. Parking is still absolutely awful here in Hoboken. The ideas are just getting silly at this point. Would you agree? And do you believe that there's going to be any relief for residents going forward?
No, there's not going to be relief, not coming out of City Hall. Any creative ideas about how we can reform parking to make it easier for residents, they're just not discussed. The only ideas that City Hall, from every side, opposition, administration, whatnot, are just how do we squeeze more shekels out of the people of Hoboken. Shekels is Hebrew for money, everybody.
We were talking Italian in the previous segment, now we're talking Hebrew.
So how do we squeeze more money out of people that come to town and out of the residents? And it's fiscal mismanagement, it's irresponsible, it's shameless, and unfortunately, unless we get rid of everybody there or have a stern talking to them as voters, it's never going to change.
And what I find interesting about this whole thing about dynamic parking is that the residents weren't aware of it until it actually came into effect. It's like, where were you complaining about this when they were negotiating this? Because, am I right or wrong? The city council did vote for this in the beginning, correct?
Yes, indeed.
And then, they heard backlashes from residents and business owners, and they felt like they needed to change their mind. And I have to give a little credit to Councilman Russo, and let me know if you agree, because at least he had an idea of trying to basically make the ordinance better, correct? I mean, the others were basically just grandstanding, no?
I mean, I think going from horrible to slightly less horrible is not a.
It's an improvement.
It may be an improvement, but it's a very sad and pessimistic way to view local government. Really, we need them to stop trying to milk people for more money to pad the municipal budget, and we need them to focus on problems that actually can be addressed by City Hall. Finish Washington Street. Finish fixing our pipes that are underground for the water. Continue to enforce actual stop signs. That sort of bread and butter issues that aren't sexy. Clean up Washington Street from everybody uses it as a trash can. These are bread and butter issues that aren't sexy, that aren't cutting edge, that don't grab headlines, but they're actually what municipal government can achieve and was created for, but they don't do it.
Well, folks, that's Josh Sotomayor Einstein, our political analyst, every week here on The Pulse with Peter B. And as mentioned at the beginning of the segment, we are going to have the great debate moderated by yours truly between Josh and Dr. Anthony Petrosino here of Hoboken on Monday, April 15th at Willie McBride's, located at 6th and Clinton Streets, starting at 7 p.m. When we come back, we will be at Texas, Arizona for our Picks with Peter B segment. You're not going to want to miss it. We will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your host of The Pulse of Peter B, still here at Texas, Arizona, located at 76 River Street, the ultimate sports bar experience here in Hoboken. They have unbelievable wings, unbelievable mac and cheese, as we tried out at the Mac and Cheese Fest a few weeks ago. Get here, have a great time, go see Stevie and Devin, two of my favorite bartenders here. It's one of my favorite watering holes. Texas, Arizona, 76 River Street in Hoboken, and hopefully we'll be doing more segments here on The Pulse. See you soon. Welcome back to The Pulse of Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and as promised, we are here at Texas, Arizona, located at 76 River Street in Hoboken, doing our Picks with Peter B segment, and we're so happy to be joined by Matt Waymeyer, of course, former MLB NHL digital host, NBC Sports anchor, and News 12 reporter. And Matt, how are you today, brother?
How can I not be good?
Right?
Look at this. This is awesome.
And Matt, I think they're all here because of us. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Right?
I can't think of any other reason.
Be in the house, and you're here because of us.
That's right. Let's
Well,
do it.
folks, so we all know that your brackets are busted in the NCAA tournament. So you know what? Why don't we talk about of course, Major League Baseball. Let's dig right into those New York Metropolitans.
Let's do it.
Right? So, of course, the pitching. The pitching is always the Achilles heel of this team. Now, Noah Syndergaard had a great game in his first start. Can he step it up this year after a down year last year?
He has to. I mean, if the Mets are going to take that leap, if they're going to back up all of Brody Van Wagenen's boasts and be a playoff team and be a 90-95 win team, he is not the X factor, but one of the biggest X factors, because we know what we're going to get from Jacob deGrom. The guy is money, reigning NL Cy Young winner, one of the greatest seasons in baseball history. But so you know what you're going to get from him. Syndergaard, though, it's a roller coaster. When he's on, he's as dominant as anybody in baseball, maybe even better than deGrom when he's on. That's the caveat there. But he had the weird hand, foot, and mouth disease last year, missed some time. He's been
Wasn't an
inconsistent.
excuse, Matt.
No,
Wasn't an excuse.
I think it was legit. As disgusting as that sounds, a legit injury, if you want to call it that. But he's a guy that has to get back to his 2015, 2016 form, be that dominant right-hander, whether through injury or inconsistency or a combination of the two. For the last couple of years, he has not been that guy. And Mets fans are waiting and waiting and waiting for him to take that leap like deGrom did last year.
Right.
If he can join deGrom on that elite plateau, the rest of baseball better look out.
But, you know, let's look at the rest of the rotation. Of course, deGrom finally got that big contract,
Yep.
5 years, $135 million, whatever it is.
Pay the rent.
And it pays the rent, exactly.
You're right.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about what happens after the rotation, because we believe that deGrom will live up to this contract, correct?
I think he will. I
Exactly.
mean, there's so much. Everybody worries about, oh, he's 31 years old now. Who cares? You know, you see Justin Verlander at 36 doing what he does. You see other pitchers on the quote-unquote wrong side of 30, you know, having effective years. There's no reason to think that deGrom's going to break down. Even though he's in his 30s, he was a late bloomer. He didn't really come onto the scene until his mid-20s. He wasn't a guy that got, you know, major innings as a guy in his early 20s, 22, 23. So being a late bloomer helps him, and it helps the Mets. The workload is not that great for somebody of his age. It's a great contract. He's the face of the team. The Mets had to do it.
It's unbelievable. And, you know, you wonder what Brody Van Wagenen actually knew about deGrom. Of course, he's deGrom's former agent. He gave him the 5-year deal. He threw a lot of money at him. And you wonder, I mean, does he really think that deGrom maybe only has 5 years? I guess time will tell. But let's look at the rest of the rotation. We got Matz. We have Wheeler. We have Vargas. Vargas? Can we trust Vargas? I mean, could we expect these pitchers to at least put up maybe 8 to 10 victories? You know, the ambulance is passing by, but we're going. We're on the show here, you know?
They're on their way to something. I don't know what. But getting back to the point here, Vargas, you know, if he's your number 5 guy, you're doing okay. You don't want him as a number 2 or number 3. That's unreasonable. But again, it starts with deGrom. It's backed up by Syndergaard. You got Matz and Wheeler in the middle. And Zach Wheeler, maybe even Mets fans don't fully comprehend this. He had better second half numbers than deGrom. And we know how good deGrom was in 2018.
But was it the best year of his career last year? I mean, can
For
you
Wheeler?
catch it? For Wheeler, yes.
Absolutely. Because he's another guy. He's like a mini Syndergaard. Injuries, inconsistency, whatever switch he flipped in the second half, he got it all together. He was phenomenal after the All-Star break. So if he can duplicate that for a full year 2019, that's potentially a third ace. Teams are lucky to have 1. The Mets might have 3.
Exactly.
So
Very good
again,
point.
Matz and Vargas, they fall in the line as 4 and 5. And if that's the back end of your rotation, you're in pretty good shape.
But what about this revamped bullpen? I mean, you have Justin Wilson joining the team. You have Jeurys Familia, who's now back on the team.
Yeah.
And of course, Edwin Diaz as the starting closer. Can they close out games for this team?
What I like about this is that there was a lot of hand-wringing when the Mets made the trade for Edwin Diaz and Robbie Cano. I like the trade because Robbie Cano, despite the PED suspension, he's a professional hitter. He's a veteran. He's been there. He's done that. He knows how to get it done and to set the example for the other guys in the lineup. For the major piece of that trade, like you said, Edwin Diaz. He is the guy that you know, bar none, is your 9th inning guy. He's going to close. So you have those defined roles in the bullpen, which I'm a big fan of, and most teams are too.
Just got to get there, right?
Yes,
Right.
get to Diaz.
Absolutely.
Now, Familia, when these guys get to the park every day, they know their role. And the words of The Rock. Know your role, shut your mouth, do your job. They know their role.
Hey, we
Raise the
got
eyebrow.
WrestleMania coming up in a
It
week.
is
so
next
Matt-
Sunday.
Matt is all excited
See,
about it.
I'm pumped.
Matt,
And the Mets should be
let's
pumped
talk
too.
about contributions. We have Mickey Callaway going into his second year. We really don't know what to expect from him. I think he had growing pains last year as a rookie manager. Would you say that he needs to learn from his mistakes this year?
He definitely does, because a lot of the mistakes he made last year were of a kind of an embarrassing nature. We all remember the first weekend of the season, or first week of the season, filling out the lineup card wrong. Jay Bruce batted out of order, cost him an out. That was embarrassing. I think we all agree Mickey Callaway is not a great strategist. He's not going to be in that tier of like the great minds of the game. But if he can just, do a passable job, manage and soothe egos, that's part of managing these days. It's just soothe the egos and get these guys to get along and be that good clubhouse presence that good manager should be. He'll be okay.
He'll be okay. Now, staying on contributions, because we love talking about this. The Mets have a revamped lineup, but let's focus on 3 players specifically.
Okay.
Robinson Cano, Wilson Ramos, of course Jed Lowry, who's of course hurt to start the season. Do you see them as big impacts for this team this year?
I do, but not as primary run producers. Even Cano, he had the home run and the single on opening day, drove in both Mets runs to the 2-0 victory. But I think the guys who are going to really blossom are going to be under their tutelage because they're veterans. Cano, Ramos, Lowry, like you said, Lowry's the Swiss Army knife. But if guys like McNeil and Alonso and Rosario can grow from their tutelage and their leadership, now you have a dynamic lineup. But if you're relying on Cano and the other guys you mentioned to be the primary run producers, that's a problem. And I hope that Mets don't get in that situation.
And now let's stick with players who I believe need to have a bounce back year or just a feasible year. That's Todd Frazier, Michael Conforto, and Yoenis Cespedes. Cespedes, God knows when we're going to see him.
Yeah.
It might be August. Do you believe that Frazier, and especially Conforto, because Conforto's the young man in this equation here, do you actually believe that they're going to be as possibly impactful as Frazier was in his early career and as Conforto was in his first year?
Conforto to me is the equivalent of Zach Wheeler after the All-Star break. A guy that figured it out, really came on. He was at the top of or near the top of the leaderboard in RBIs in the majors after the All-Star break. And again, he's like Wheeler. If he can duplicate that over a full season, the Mets are going to be in such good shape. I'm not a big Todd Frazier guy. I never have been. But if Conforto can make that leap with the other young guys that we mentioned, then that's going to be huge for the Mets.
So we have a few seconds here, and I'm going to put your back against some wall that's probably behind this massive crowd here at Texas, Arizona. How many wins do you think the Mets are going to have this year?
Mets will win 88 games and miss the playoffs.
And missed the play, barely probably, correct?
It'll be close,
It'll
but
be
I don't
definitely
quite
close.
see them making it this year.
Well, Matt Wainmeyer, as always, giving us his insights here on the Pulse of Peter B, former MLB, NHL, digital host, and an NBC Sports and News 12 sports reporter. Folks, join us next week for the Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest from the Pulse with the Peter B. Folks, don't forget to like us on Facebook. Go on Facebook, search for the Pulse of Peter B. Like us, follow us. We're always updating information on there. And also, we have a brand new YouTube channel that you should go on and subscribe. See all of our past episodes. Like, follow us there. And don't forget, we will be back for the Pulse on everything you need to know.